Hi there. Welcome to Nighttime Line Talks. Hola amigos, bienvenidos a Charlas de la Noche, el concepto bilingüe enfocado para familias mexicoamericanas. Como ustedes saben, los padres muchas veces trabajan 2 empleos y no tienen tiempo de estudiar inglés. Los hijos aprenden el idioma en las escuelas, con los amigos, en el internet. Pero esa no es excusa para que nos enteremos o yo les informe de todo lo que está sucediendo. I'm telling my Hispanic audience that there is no excuse to be absent of the polemic facts happening right now in America. The New York Times has to change the cover page headline due many Democrats criticize that headline because when President Trump announced that he can send troops, military troops, to the states to stop the riots, fires, and all the problems generated by people who is protesting that is not a protest. A real protest, please screen the videos of Dr. Martin Luther King, of Mr. Andrew Young, who was beside Dr. King, of many people who was helping Dr. King during the 1960s. And they really did a good job, a pacifist job. Do you know that the piece of footage of the speech of Mr. Martin Luther King, the one that says, "I have a dream," that piece of footage is not more than 3 minutes, is the most expensive piece of video or in television world or for the movies. It worth more than $100,000 every time somebody wants to use on media with non-exclusive copyrights. If it's exclusive, I believe that worth millions of dollars. And there are a lot of requirements to use this piece of video because it is considered historical. But the situation is that authorities in some states are freak and they have no idea about how to manage the protest with the students who feel offended, because already authorities discovered that not everyone is a student. They are using students to manipulate the situations. But looting is still happening in many cities of the United States. But the greatest thing is the response of population. In southern Pennsylvania, neighbors guard their own Target. The store, Target is like Walmart, whatever. And neighbors appreciate the service of this store. Well, as police is very busy guarding looters, neighbors go and guard the store. In other town close by, the owner, the 67 years old owner of a gun store, come back to his store and saw that looters tried to force the door, but as he has enforced a steel door, well, he was thinking probably they are going to come back tonight, so I am going to sleep in my store. And he did. He noticed police department because he's a retired police officer and he trains police officers on shooting classes. So looters came back and he take his guns and kill one, hurt another one on the shoulder, and the other two run away like rats, because they are rats. That people are rats. If you've seen the pictures on the newspapers, the pictures about the looters. Looters are gangs, drug dealers, and sorry, I don't have another qualificative. And they never identify themselves when media try to interview. They are always covering their mouth with a mouth guard. They use hats, they use dark glasses. They don't like to be identified. But the National Guard, the body cams they are using has a face recognition. And only tapping a second of this part of your ear, or the eyes, part of the eyes, or this part of the mouth, they have enough to make a face search on their face recognition. And where they have it? Bingo! On the Department of Driver License. They have a huge photographic database where authority can search for the pictures and identify very easy everyone. But just let me complete the topic of President Trump. President Trump, I told you in yesterday's episode that he called or qualified some governors as weak because they don't like to detain people who was committing crime. And he announced he will send troops to the states that are in trouble. And remember, he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and he has the legal normativity allows him to send troops or soldiers to the states that are in trouble. In 1957, President Eisenhower sent to Ohio or some place in the Central America the troops, but they have not need to use it because the local authorities solved the problem before. But President Trump has the authority to do that. Now many Democratic governors are criticizing such measure, like the one from Illinois. Illinois can talk. Is the state with most crime in America, with most gangs, where more drugs are distributed on the streets, and he started to criticize President Trump. Come on. Sorry, but make me laugh. And make me laugh because Illinois is the state where most young people live to find a better future in other states because they recognize they have no future on Illinois for two reasons. Illinois only have two seasons, winter and construction. Winter is too long, there is a lot of snow, they can live, they are limited to work and do many things. And construction is after the snow, they have to rebuild homes, fix roofs, make a lot of things. So is why they say that proverb in Illinois. But President Trump is determined in what he asked to the governors on his conference, digital conference. Dominate the situation or leave the office, because if you are not representing authority and you are only making money for doing nothing and citizens of your state are jeopardizing their lives with this situation, I send the troops. And many people support President Trump. Even the New York Times has a great headline, and hours later they have to replace it for one questioning Donald Trump's decision for sending troops. And the President of the United States was more criticized when he goes to one of the churches that been damaged, and he was carrying his Bible. Everybody has the right of religion freedom. Everybody has the right to practice and follow any religion. Why the president don't have this right? Why the CNN start to question the president on that regard and criticize him? CNN is every minute criticizing Donald Trump, and only because they cannot remove the fake news level they have on their front head. Honestly. So, the story is that as Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi has no argument to debate about the critics on regard they are sponsoring the people who is attacking stores and who is violating many things, the looters, burning cars and burning property, private property, government property. So the candidate to president, Joe Sleepy Biden, comes and gives a speech. Obviously, he used everything President Trump is doing to attack, to criticize. Empty speech. Everybody who listens understands that he is using every polemic situation to affect Donald Trump. But Americans are looking. Donald Trump has cojones, and he has authority, and he's taking back the economy and the peace on every city of the United States. In fact, Governor Cuomo of New York criticized Mayor de Blasio because he did not instruct the local police to protect property, to stop looters and do something. And Mayor de Blasio was completely neutral to this situation. So Governor Cuomo was infuriated, and he says, well, let me be the mayor and I can administrate the city and administrate the state. Well, basically New York is a big city and takes 65% of the administration of the state of New York. So Andrew Cuomo can do perfectly both chairs, overseeing the city, overseeing the state, and taking care of everything. But the problem of New York is they have not lived the pandemic yet. And young people meeting without protection, without mouth covers, without gloves, without take any protective measure against this pandemic. Experts are expecting in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks a re-sparking of this pandemic in many places of America. And makes sense, because these students hug each other. They don't apply any sanitation belt. They don't apply the safe distance. They don't apply anything. And protesters are burning police precincts, stores, many things. And it's sad, honestly. It's sad because economy needs a lot of attention, needs recovery. Pandemic needs to be fully executed with the plans they are applying. So, the situation here is that when President Trump rescued a law, 100-year-old law, that apply to people who break the order on the streets, and allowed the federal government to put them in jail without trial, everybody was over Donald Trump. But the owners of the business, the destroyed business, not all of them have insurance. Not all of them has capital to start over again. They have the savings of their life on those business. These looters and gangs destroy it. What is obvious is a very bad determination from Mayor de Blasio that take his neutral posture and decline all the responsibility in Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York. And this afternoon, Mayor de Blasio have not answered the critics. This morning did Andrew Cuomo. And he's not going to answer. Even both of them are Democrats. The Democratic Party is fragmented because of their lies, their tricky games, and many situations they are not doing. They are playing a different game. They are not following the legal normativity in Congress, senators, etc. And everybody declines the whole responsibility of these problems on Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is not hiding. He is facing every situation. And people start to critics because he put too much money on this, he put too much money on that. Yeah, but nobody helps. And he is facing every single problem. I hope everything can be solved soon. And I hope the violence is resolved before the end of this week, because I am tired of see these looters and see these gangs and see all that manipulators using young college students that they say they are innocent. They call them for this manifestation. Mr. George, the man that passed away on the hands of police officers, his relatives already say that they like to see parades paying tribute to his brother, George Floyd. So nobody is talking about protest and stealing and destroying business. Why these people is doing that? And police found cars without license plates that has on the trunk machine guns and ammunition to start a big attacks. In other cars, they found a lot of stones they were using to destroy police cars. And others parked the cars close to the stores they looted and to put all the merchandise, watches, expensive bags, ladies' shoes, a lot of merchandise that they steal and they sell later on the internet. But I am sure investigations are going to search for these people and put them on the court of law, because that is not fair. The private business is not guilty of this situation. I understand it's a frustration that black people say, oh, they don't respect our rights. To me, as a Hispanic with a Native American blood, happens me the same situation. Police department stop me often on the street. They check my papers. They review everything. But as soon they see I don't oppose to the inspection, I don't oppose to give them my papers, They told me, it's okay, Mr. Duran. Go home. Thank you. Period. I am sure that many situations could be fixed if people don't oppose to the police officers. I was already living in Atlanta, working for Turner Broadcasting System, when the riots of Rodney King happens in LA, and we have protests here in Atlanta. I asked permission to my boss, Charlotte Leonard, I asked permission to Doug Smith, and I go to downtown Atlanta to cover the protest for Televisa. Because Adolfo Cervantes, the foreign correspondence director of Televisa, calls me and asks me a couple stand-ups, and I broadcast the stories and help them. Francisca Saavedra, so nice, she always called me and told me, you have a compromise with me. I need at 4 o'clock stand-up. Oh my goodness, I am 10 minutes away from downtown. And some streets were closed, so I have to run and do my best. But I covered it, and I was so happy because I have a good time in Televisa as well. I did in Turner, in Fox Lab TV. I can't complain, and when I can help, I do it. But the issue here in the United States of America is that many people agree President Trump solve this situation as soon as possible. As somebody says this morning, with violence on the streets, we cannot open business, we cannot resolve the pandemic, we cannot process and fix all the situations derivated of the pandemic. So, thank you, President Trump. And this is in regard of many people who send me emails appreciating your words, appreciating your actions, because you are a president who takes care right away. You are not waiting to see what the critic says. You take action and you don't care. And that means determination. That means authority. And that is a very important point. Because if he doesn't do that, imagine. These black people could be here in my house already taking my belongings. So, thank you, President Trump. He is not compromising the safety. And he's applying the law and order that we need in America. He's not doing something extraordinary. He's not taking measures that are from exotic ideas. No, he's applying the law. He's trying to bring peace to the streets, avoid violence, avoid losses of many buildings. So, supporting President Trump on these measures, people is going to find out that is the easiest way and fast-track way to leave the other problems. So, believe it or not, everybody likes to live happy. Everybody loves to live in American neighborhood because they are clean, they are safe, so it's time to do it. Because if authorities hesitate and allow these gangs that you don't know who is manipulating them, because they are not acting by themselves. They receive instructions from the enemies of Donald Trump. The target is take out Donald Trump from the White House and diminish his authority. That is the big picture of this situation. There is not clue. So, population is already supporting. I put my broadcast yesterday in Spanish. I put my broadcast in English, and I can't believe it. I am so happy. People like it. People is sponsoring the concepts I am giving, and this program is not paid, is not manipulated. I have sponsors: Walmart, Xfinity, AT&T. I have a big sponsors, but they pay a fraction of penny for every play people does. So to make $12, I need like 10 million hits online. That's the truth. But I don't care, because I am telling the truth. I am telling what really is going on and what I think about that. On the meantime, the mainstream media is minimizing the attacks and is giving more voice to the enemies of Donald Trump and giving more critics, because Donald Trump is using the troops and the National Guard. Come on. He has the legal structure to do that. He is the commander-in-chief, and he likes to restore the peace on every state on America. The mayor of LA recognized that he has to use the National Guard, recognized that he has to apply the curfew because he needs to bring order, and he is Democrat. The mayor of LA. So, why wait and waste more money if the solution is here? President Trump already said it is what we are going to do, and do it. Authorities cannot keep police officers waiting to these gangs burn cars and burn buildings for the rest of this new month. No, President Trump likes to stop this right away, and he is doing that. Obviously, politicians don't like it. They like problems. Remember, they are mad because he couldn't win Trump with the impeachment process. They tried to use many situations to attack President Trump, but they couldn't. So this is the other argument they are using to attack him, because elections are around the corner. But if Donald Trump solves this situation accordingly, he solves the pandemic and he takes the economy back as it was before this pandemic, nobody is going to think or consider Joe Sleepy Biden a choice to come back on track. So, United States of America needs authority, needs determination, and needs to fix everything. Joe Biden has no agenda. The Joe Biden agenda is the one from Nancy Pelosi, the one from Mike Bloomberg, and he is taking advice from Atlanta's mayor. Is a very young woman, but with no experience in politics. So we need to wait. Everybody is already recognizing George Floyd's life and recognizing that was unfair what police officer did. But there are courts of law to fix that. Happens often, but as a police officer interviewed days ago says, he recognized they have problems, but he says, Mr. Duran, African American population overreacts all the time. Don't give us time to analyze a situation. They don't like to answer any question. They don't like to help. So sometimes they are forced to take measures that are not the right measures. Obviously, murder is not a good measure. But their patience as police officers is over because they consider they never have a chance to fix every situation they face on the streets. And for example, they are tired to go to court every week for drug dealers, drug consumers. And what they do when they find them, they take the cocaine and spread on the ground. They take the marijuana, spread on the ground and destroy it because they are right. They say, Mr. Duran, the city government spends more money on the trials to judge these people and having these people in jail for a few weeks than the drugs they are carrying. So at the time we release them, we are saving money to the authorities because there is the law, is not the police officers. And as they are minorities, African Americans, oh my goodness, they have a lot of privileges. So let's go to wait to see the conclusion of this soap opera, The Streets of America. Because there are plenty of gangs and police officers. Who is going to fix the problem? I tell you next chapter. Thank you for having me. We stay in touch. And if you can watch my show in Spanish tonight on radio. Bye-bye.